All right, so we all know Elon Musk builds rockets, cars, and, well, robots. But what's the grand plan here? What's the thread that connects all of this? Today, we're going to deconstruct his massive vision for where humanity's headed. And believe me, it's a wild ride that starts with a social media app and ends up questioning the very fabric of reality itself. So yeah, let's get into it.
This quote right here, this is pretty much the key to understanding everything that follows. See, Musk's projects, they aren't just about building cool tech. He sees them as tools designed to help us as a species ask better, deeper questions about the universe. And the first tool in his toolbox, well, it's one you're probably already using.
Okay, so let's start with X, the platform we all used to call Twitter. The big question is, why on earth would he spend billions of dollars on a social media company? Well, as you're about to see, his goal is way, way bigger than just tweets and funny memes.
So on the surface, his stated goal was to create a global town square, a place where people could just say what they want to say. In his view, the platform, being based in San Francisco, had developed a pretty strong far-left bias, and this led to a lot of voices on the right getting suspended. So his plan was to bring it back to the center, make it a more balanced platform that basically just follows the law in whatever country you're in, and not, put a thumb on the scale beyond that.
But, and this is the really important part, he doesn't just see X as a place to hash out politics or share news. Nope. For him, it's just the foundation. It's step one for something much, much bigger.
And this is where we pivot from the practical to the philosophical. Because the real ambition, the big idea behind buying the platform, is to help create what he calls a global collective consciousness.
Okay, so what in the world does he mean by collective consciousness? Well, imagine a single global platform, a place where all of humanity's thoughts can come together, instantly translated across every language. And the whole point of this, the ultimate goal, it's all about helping us get closer to figuring out what questions we should even be asking about reality and our own existence.
And he has this fantastic way of explaining the logic behind it. Think about it like this. A single cell. It can't really do much, right? It can't communicate complex ideas. But a human is basically just a collective of over 30 trillion cells. And we can communicate. We can think. Now take it one step further. What can a collective of humans do? Well, we can build a spaceship, something one single person could never ever do alone. So for him, scaling up our collective consciousness is just the next natural logical step in our evolution.
And boom, there it is. We're right back to that quote from the beginning. See, X isn't the end game. It's just a tool. It's a tool to upgrade our entire species' ability to poke and prod at the great mysteries of the universe. But this new collective mind is going to have to deal with another massive, massive force that's coming our way. All right, time to shift gears. Let's talk about the second huge pillar of his vision, the absolute revolution he sees coming with AI and robotics. And trust me, he does not mince words when he talks about how big of a deal this is going to be.
A supersonic tsunami. Just think about that phrase for a second. He's not talking about some slow, gradual change we'll get used to over decades. No, he's talking about a force of nature that's going to hit us and reshape everything with just unbelievable speed and power.
And yeah, he actually puts a timeline on this. He predicts that in less than 20 years, maybe even just 15, AI will have advanced so much that working will be completely optional. It'll be something you do because you want to, like a hobby, not something you have to do just to survive.
So, what does a world without work even look like? Well, according to Musk, it's a world of pure abundance. He calls it a future of universal high income, where AI and robots can create pretty much any goods or services you can possibly think of, and they'll just be available to everyone.
But a world of total abundance brings up a really fascinating question. I mean, if you can have anything you want, what happens to money?
Okay, so here's Musk's logic. He says money is really just an information system we use to divvy up human labor. I mean, think about it, right? If you had $1 trillion but you were stranded on a desert island, it would be completely worthless because there's no human labor to buy. So in a future where robots and AI are doing all the work, money just kind of loses its main reason for existing.
So if money isn't the measure of value, what is? For Musk, the answer is simple. It comes down to physics. The only true currency, he argues, is energy. You can't just print more of it. You can't just pass a law and create it out of thin air. It's the one fundamental thing you need to do, to do anything useful in the universe. So what's the economic result of all this? It's pretty wild, actually. When you have this explosion of AI-driven productivity, the creation of stuff, goods and services, is going to massively outpace the creation of money. And the logical outcome of that isn't inflation, which we're always hearing about. It's the exact opposite, a long, sustained period of deflation.
Okay, we've gone from a social media app to the end of money. Now you need to prepare yourself for the final leap. We're about to get into the most mind-bending part of Musk's entire worldview, the actual nature of reality itself.
He asks a simple but huge question. What if none of this is real? Musk takes the simulation hypothesis very seriously. In fact, he's on record saying he believes the odds that we are living inside a simulation are pretty high.
And his argument for this is actually surprisingly simple. It all comes down to video games. I mean, think back 50 years ago. The best we had was Pong. It was literally 2 rectangles and a square. Look at today. We have photorealistic, real-time games with millions of players all in the same world. Now he says, just project that line forward. Where does it go? Well, it's basically inevitable that we will create games or simulations that are completely and totally indistinguishable from reality.
If you accept that premise, then here's the logical conclusion. If there are going to be billions or even trillions of these super realistic simulations, what are the odds that we just happen to be in the one original base reality? The odds are, well, they're astronomically low. It's just a game of numbers. It's far, far more likely that we're living inside one of the many, many simulations.
But hold on, because it gets even weirder. Musk then adds another layer to this. He suggests there's a kind of survival of the fittest for simulations. Think about it. If you were playing a game and it was boring, you'd turn it off. He thinks any creator of a simulation would do the same. So the only simulations that would be allowed to keep running would be the most interesting ones. And the implication there? Our reality continues to exist because it's interesting, it's entertaining.
All right, let's just pull back for a second and recap this absolutely wild journey. We started with a social media platform, X, which is actually a tool to build a collective consciousness. That collective consciousness will soon have to deal with a world where AI makes work optional and money basically obsolete. And all of this is likely happening inside a giant cosmic simulation that's designed to be interesting.
And all of this really leaves us with one last massive question to chew on. If Musk is right, if the most interesting outcome is always the most likely one, what does that mean for us? For how we choose to live our lives? Is our purpose just to be interesting? Is the best thing we can do as individuals and as a species to just make the most interesting choices we can? Something to think about.